Now, Wave News at 11.
Your brother Nick mentions to you this is like a dream. Well, this has been a nightmare for me. My mom didn't deserve any of this. My mom didn't get to see me go to high school, proms, graduate. She won't see me get married, have children.
The child you claim you love so much, one of the reasons you killed my sister, his mother, you, Brooks, took all of that from him and destroyed his life. That's more than selfish. That's sick. You're a sick human being.
Did Crystal beg for her life, knowing she had 5 children to come home to? I honestly don't know why I'm even asking you these questions, because I know you're not even man enough to own up to what you did to my daughter.
It was a moment many people in Bardstown had waited for, and particularly so for Crystal Rogers' family. Another step toward some closure, more than 10 years since she vanished and presumably died. This is Wave News at 11. All 3 men found guilty for their roles in her disappearance now have their official prison sentences. Wave News reporter Logan Perrone is here to share more of the emotional, impactful statements at Brooks Houck and Joseph Lawson. Logan.
Yeah, Jose, today's victim impact statements, they took roughly an hour. We heard from Crystal's family. They spoke unfiltered about the last 10 years of waiting for justice.
Based upon the circumstances of this case, that the jury's recommendation is appropriate.
For his role in the disappearance and presumed murder of Crystal Rogers, her boyfriend at the time, Brooks Houck, will spend the rest of his life behind bars. Joseph Lawson will serve 25 years. Wednesday's sentencing was the final step in accountability for the Bardstown mother's disappearance. On the stand, it was Crystal's family with the final words through nearly an hour of emotional testimony.
For 10 years, I've lived with pain and anger and emptiness. You thought you could silence her, but you can't.
Crystal's family said their piece, no holding back. Some accused Houck of emotional abuse against Crystal, pointing out his lack of care after she disappeared. Others directed their anger at the Houck family for their alleged involvement.
Your mom's an evil woman who raised evil children. And like I said before, evil never wins. The truth always comes out.
Joseph Lawson, bound by his wheelchair, wasn't spared either.
And Joey, they can take you and wheel you out there to the dumpster, because that's about all you're worth.
Crystal's late father, Tommy Ballard, was a recurring name spoken during impact statements, as his killer has never been caught. As justice was served for his niece, Tommy's brother Mike Ballard hoped authorities would continue to look for her remains and find justice for his brother.
Whether we ever will, I don't know. I've got doubts about it, but I'm always hopeful and pray about it some.
Wednesday's hugs and tears come knowing the people responsible are reaping what they've sown. Still, through it all, Crystal's mother, Sherry, says this isn't what brings her closure.
Even if I never find my daughter, I know my daughter's with God, and that brings peace only He can give me.
Today, the judge did also make it clear that both Houck and Lawson have the right to appeal their sentences. But for this family, for this town, and for the people all across Kentucky tuned into this case, today's sentence is not just the end of a chapter and not the end of this story. Logan Perrone, Wave News.
Logan, thanks. Now, even with this step toward more closure in Rogers' case, many details are left to discover, and detectives have questions unanswered. Despite several searches dating back to July 2015, Rogers' body has not been found. The FBI even searched properties Brooks Houck owned and could not find any positive remains. In his joint trial with Joseph Lawson, Wave News reported there was an interesting discovery at the Woodlawn Springs subdivision. There were women's clothes and some hair found under pavement on this property back in 2021. But investigators say there wasn't enough DNA to get conclusive results. Another question lingering, could more people be charged in her death? What we know is Brooks Houck's mother and brother, Rosemary and Nick Houck, have been referred to as unindicted co-conspirators by prosecutors. There's also doubt over who, if anyone, will be charged for killing Rogers' father, Tommy Ballard. He was killed the year after Crystal disappeared while he was hunting on family property. At our last check, investigators have said they want to confirm if Nick Houck has any connection to Ballard's death. As far as what we do know, Joseph Lawson's father, Stephen, was the first of the 3 men convicted. This May, a Warren County jury found Lawson guilty of conspiracy to commit murder and tampering with physical evidence. The judge sentenced the elder Lawson to 17 years behind bars. And just this week, we've learned Brooks Houck surrendered custody of his child with Crystal Rogers to his sister. Court documents filed Monday confirm Rhonda McElvoy was granted full custody of her brother's 12-year-old son. She has had temporary custody of him since 2023. And moments after both men learned their punishments, I sat down with our Wave News legal analyst, Leland Hulbert. We talked about key details of what happened today and what else we can expect in the future.
I think some sentencings are powerful when the defendant does step up and apologize. And maybe he will someday, maybe he won't. His lack of emotion today seems to be pretty consistent with what we've seen during the trial. And you can read into that what you will. You know, as a defense attorney, I would likely advise my client not to say anything because an appeal is pending. So for the same reasons, I can see why everything happened today. It was pretty standard. The victims got their chance to say some things directly to him, which this will probably be the only chance for that. His lack of emotion is probably something that they're going to remember and judge him for, and people will as well, but you're not going to find a defendant apologizing for something that's on appeal.
This is a story we've followed since the beginning and will continue to check. You can go back to watch all of today's coverage and every interview and investigation from before on the Wave 3 website as well as on the News app. All right, well, the second of Louisville's largest music festival starting tomorrow already. If you're heading to Louder Than Life, Chief Meteorologist Kevin Harded letting you know, expect warmer than not temperatures, right, Kevin?
Yeah, hot again tomorrow. We're back up in the low 90s, about 10 degrees warmer than we should be this time of year. 89, that's what we hit today. This is not bad music festival weather, by the way. It's just a little on the warm side. You can see across the entire region. These were highs today, ranging from the mid to upper 80s, a few 90s dotted in. Current temperatures easing back already into the low 60s. Places like Litchfield down to 61, 63 Madison. We're 10 degrees warmer in the city at 73. What clouds we had earlier faded away before sunset. Mainly clear skies across the area tonight. Regional view shows more of the showers and thunderstorms way out to our west. So we're high and dry tonight and again tomorrow. Nice sunny day. Comes with an air quality alert. Morning temperatures will be in the 50s and 60s. And then we're going to make our way up to 92 degrees in the afternoon tomorrow. That again through the late afternoon hours where we reach that peak. Temperatures ease back into the 80s during the evening. That's your Thursday forecast. We keep it warm into the weekend, but there are signs of cooler temperatures and at least a couple of rain chances to talk about. We'll do that in the 10-day earliest alert coming up in just a few. Jose.
All right, thank you, Kevin. Louisville has not had a juvenile detention center since 2019. The city had to close the facility's doors after funding cuts and a council vote. In the same timeline, around 2023, state lawmakers set aside millions of dollars to renovate the center, promising it would be ready next year. Tonight, Wave News reporter Julia Richardson says Metro Council members, Julia, they want this process to speed up.
Yeah, Jose, during a public safety committee meeting today, Metro Council members passed a resolution encouraging Governor Beshear to speed up the opening of the juvenile detention center here in the Louisville Metro. They say, among other things, it's a public safety issue.
We're kind of in a spot where either the youth is released in regards to these high crimes or they're sent to Adair County a couple hours away.
This is the dilemma officials are facing when it comes to youth offenders in Jefferson County. A lack of jail space for them means they are either sent to a jail in another county or are released for crimes they'd normally be incarcerated for. Now, Metro leaders are depending on the juvenile detention center reopening to help stop these issues.
We just believe that it needs to be opened. It needs to be opened at a faster pace than where it's at right now.
Louisville Metro Council member Jonathan Joseph is a sponsor of the resolution to speed up the process, which has support from council members from both political parties. The measure gained more sponsors during Wednesday's Public Safety Committee meeting.
We're happy to say that this effort has always had bipartisan support and agreement in order for us to really positively affect change in our juvenile crime rate.
But council members also acknowledge there are more factors to improving that crime rate.
I hope that whatever comes in place has those different components for education, connections to vocational training, dealing with substance and trauma-informed care, because you can build it, but if it doesn't provide those things, then we will see a lot more recidivism, and I know a lot of us don't want to see that with our young people.
Terry Brooks, Executive Director of Kentucky Youth Advocates, echoes that sentiment. telling me he's in favor of the resolution if council members are intentional with the facility's purpose.
We want to make sure that it's not just a holding tank. It's not just an adult jail for kids. We want these kids to be served and assessed and counseled. We want them to get back on the right track.
The governor's office sent us a statement saying the state needed Louisville Metro to transfer the deed of the facility to the Commonwealth before the design and construction phase could start. The administration said it took 2 years for that to happen. Again, the facility is expected to open next fall. Julia Richardson, Wave News.
Julia, thank you. While the Givaudan plant sits waiting to be demolished, the Clifton community can tell its leaders what they want built on top of the site. Company executives have chosen a contractor to take down what remains of the building after the explosion November 12th killed 2 workers. Many neighbors say they've complained about the Givaudan plant's negative quality of life impact for some time. Metro Council member Andrew Owen has helped lead several of these meetings where constituents can talk about what they think is a better investment in their neighborhoods. Some neighbors were frustrated with the lack of options and say they want more action from the company itself.
In a perfect world, like someone said, it would be great if the company was magnanimous enough to say, this was a mistake. We give you guys the property as just sort of reparation and say, I'm sorry, and we make a beautiful community center or park or something that enriches the neighborhood, where that really doesn't seem like it's an option at this point.
As of last check, Givaudan is still waiting for permits to begin their demolition work. Tonight, a young man sits in a North Carolina County Sheriff's Office. He's accused of threatening to commit mass murder at U of L's campus because people put up posters depicting conservative activist Charlie Kirk's murder. An arrest warrant says Michael Tedder called the school to make the threat. Now, we are paraphrasing to remove many of the expletives in the document, but the threat says, in part, quote, you think the devil's scary. You don't even know what I can do with this AR and AK, Tedder being the speaker. So much blood, guts, and brains, end quote. 18-year-old Tedder is due in court next Thursday. When it comes to the posters themselves, U of L says they were removed, and the university is investigating who is responsible. Classes at Utah Valley University resumed today, a week after Kirk was shot and killed on campus. There's an increased police presence for now, and the school has gone through a phased reopening, with staff and faculty returning to the campus Monday. The vigil for Unity is set for a Friday afternoon. New at 11, a man is taken to the hospital after he was shot near Iroquois Park. LMPD says this happened around 6 tonight off Southside Drive. Officers found the man who was shot, and he was taken to the hospital. He should be okay. Police did not have many more details to share with us, but they say they're still investigating and looking for tips. Also right now, police in Clarksville are looking for 2 people you can see in the pictures we're showing. Officers posted these images on Facebook saying they need to talk to them, the folks on the screen, about a theft at Ashland Park. They're asking for the public's help, so contact police if you have any information. More ahead here on Wave News at 11. They work to help when we have car trouble. Now tow truck drivers are pushing for help themselves. We'll look at a possible bill in the works for Kentucky ahead on Wave News.
Here's a look at the current Kentucky Lottery jackpots. The Kentucky Lottery, funding education for over 1 million Kentucky students. Now, Wave News.
Tonight, students at one Mississippi university are worried for their safety after one of their peers was found hanging from a tree on campus this week. The victim was identified as 21-year-old DeMartravion Trey Reed. His body was sent to the state crime lab for an autopsy. Reed's death has since sparked a number of online rumors. A statement from the local county coroner's office said Reed's body had no injuries or cuts, contrary to online speculation. Delta State University says counselors are available to help students. Leaders also say there's no evidence of foul play and that the campus is not under a threat. The CDC's former director testified in front of lawmakers in D.C. today. She claimed she was, quote, fired for holding the line on scientific integrity, end quote. Dr. Susan Menares answered questions about both the agency and Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy, Jr. Menares made the claim Kennedy put politics before public health. She was fired last month, only 29 days into her tenure as CDC director. In June, Kennedy removed all 17 sitting members of the CDC's Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices. Time to talk the forecast. We're going to Chief Meteorologist Kevin Harnett, and the heat just dominating the conversation, Kevin.
Yeah, you know, we're running almost 8 degrees above normal today. Tomorrow about 10 degrees, but it didn't stop the folks from coming out to Waterfront Wednesday. Big crowd for that, and I suspect that tomorrow with Louder Than Life kicking off, we're going to see a pretty big crowd for that. Let's jump in and talk about our events that we have going on. So we'll give you that outdoor forecast in case you're making those outdoor plans. I know a lot of folks aren't fortunate enough to go on Thursday. Work sometimes gets in the way, right? But you're going to notice for that Waterfront Wednesday, today was nice. That is now past us, and we look ahead to all of the other events that we have going on, including Louder Than Life. But we also have Churchill Downs in action, and that's going to bring in that nighttime racing, which will be pleasant across the area. We're talking temperatures easing back. Touchdown Friday night, also outside. On the Friday evening plan, temperatures go back into the lower 80s through the evening hours. So no matter what your plans may be for Thursday or Friday, we're dry through that time, and temperatures are above average. Let me get you outside tonight. We have been focused on the area beneath the waterfront walkway up onto the bridge, and you can see the lights there still shining bright. Temperatures have been warm through the evening. We made it into the upper 80s today. We're still at 73 in the city. 60s are surrounding us in most communities. That's always the case at night. We're cooling down effectively simply because of the dry air that we've had in place. Today, we had the air quality alert, much like the last couple of days. This will continue through tomorrow evening. Across the metro Louisville, that includes Bullitt County, Jefferson, Oldham, all of southern Indiana in that alert, unhealthy for sensitive groups. Burn bans have been expanding across the area. Tomorrow we get a new update on the drought monitor. For now, we're in the abnormally dry. That's the yellow shading. Others to our south are in the moderate drought. I suspect we'll see this have grown across the area. Haven't had a ton of rain in most places. Now, a few places last Sunday got a pretty good dose of rain, but some is the key word. Some did. Most did not. Tonight, no rain at all. Very few clouds even around our area. High pressure is anchored in for us. You get back out to the west, the unsettled weather continues. It's been that story all week long. This will sort of be the picture for us next week, where we'll have a daily rain chance, but not everybody gets it. But a few scattered thunderstorms should bounce back into our forecast. Overnight lows will fall into the 50s tonight, at least in the suburbs, 65 in the city. Tomorrow, while we will warm it up, we're going up to 92 for the high temperature. That is a very warm day for this time of year. Normal would be the lower 80s. 73, our current temperature with a gentle northwest breeze. We mentioned 89 being our high today. That was 7 degrees above that average. 65 was the morning low. That, too, was above average. Tonight, more of the same. Mostly clear. Tomorrow, mostly sunny. Still hot, still hazy. We have the air quality alert. Tomorrow's high, 92. And in the 10-day earliest alert, we stay in the low 90s for the first part of the weekend, so the first 3 days of Louder Than Life, very warm. Back to 88 on Sunday. Comes with a 30% storm chance, near 80, so back near normal where we should be for the first start of fall, and a daily chance for a thunderstorm. We certainly could use a downpour or two, but no overly high rain chance standing out in the 10-day forecast. It's sort of, as we broad brushed it there, with a 30% chance just to account for the unsettled weather with that area of low pressure.
And to see who's wanting to jostle around our neck of the woods, Kevin, and be like, no, hey, rain, come over to me to help deal with the drought and the burn bans.
Yeah, you're looking at the neighbors, you're like, man, he's getting all the rain again.
Spare some over this way, guys. Come on. Yeah. Thanks, Kevin. All right, we'll be right back with more Wave News at 11 after the break. Welcome back. Tow truck drivers and their families in Kentucky want to help usher in a new law that improves their job safety and also honors a colleague they lost. A year ago, tow truck driver Troy Caldwell was working on the side of I-64 in eastern Kentucky when he was hit and killed. Those who knew and worked with him drafted Troy's Law. The proposed bill will add rear-facing blue lights to the vehicles when they're stopped. This week, the bill went before Kentucky lawmakers for a committee meeting. Troy's daughter and his fellow drivers say this could make the necessary job much safer.
He loved it. He loved to help people, and just watching him light up every time he'd get out of that truck, he'd flip them lights on. He had a big smile on his face.
With the move over, slow down, it just isn't enough. This would give us one more layer of protection.
A similar bill has already been made law in other states like Pennsylvania. As for the truck driver accused of causing the deadly crash where Caldwell died, They have still not been caught. New tonight, Kentucky's auditor claims her exam found more than $800 million of taxpayer money were unnecessarily spent on Medicaid payments. Allison Ball released her report today following a special inquiry into the Kentucky Department of Medicaid Services. In her report, Ball argues the $800 million of taxpayer money here was wasted. The report says DMS did not take the basic steps needed to not duplicate payments made by other states. Each state is required to check these alerts, but Ball says DMS failed to do so. She also says the payments occurred between January 2019 and December of 2022. Coming up, we get a new look at Mail's new football field as they prepare to host a home opener, and we'll take you inside one of the most dynamic high school offenses at KCD. Sports is next.
Our Touchdown Friday night game of the week features a 6A rivalry game, Trinity at Mail, as the Bulldogs play their first game on their brand new field. The turf is finally down at Maxwell Field, just in time for the Dogs to host their rival. Mail actually practices on a field behind the stadium, so Friday night will be the first time they actually set foot on the new field.
Oh, I'm really excited about it. And if you want to scan the practice field before you leave, you can see why we're excited about it. This practice field is dusty. It's hard. We're tired of putting down lines. We've been putting down lines on this field for 16 years.
KCD Bearcats are 4-0 to open the 2025 season, and they're flexing along the way. Sports reporter Dusty Baker explains.
Everything from our organization to our formations, we're better at the line of scrimmage.
The KCD Bearcats have been knocking at the door of a state title for the last few years, and a key change to the offense might be the solution to putting the Bearcats over the top.
You know, the flex bone's a hard offense to stop.
A year after changing the offense to the flex bone, KCD has discovered a winning identity.
Last year, we kind of came back and installed a new offense, which we thought was going to be tough for us as a team. Everybody came in, stepped in, had a big role.
The Bearcats seeing results early on in the second year of the offense, rushing for 355 yards combined this past week in a 63-38 victory over DeSales.
We want to have four backs who have the ability to run it, and our quarterback Caden Long can run it and throw it.
And for a team led by quarterback Caden Long, who has his father Ed calling the plays on the defensive side of the ball.
While he's on the field for offense, I've usually got the iPad on Huddle. Sometimes I don't get to see him as much as I would like to, but I typically know if things have gone well by the celebration on the sideline.
As well as great early production from their running back room.
We all took the time to learn, wanted to learn, because we want to be a state championship program.
The Bearcats have much greater goals that feel attainable in 2025.
We want to go out there and prove something, and we want to leave a statement and make history, and I feel like this team can really do it.
Reporting at KCD High School, Dusty Baker, Wave Sports.
Kentucky Country Day is building a monster there. Big changes coming to varsity high school basketball in Kentucky. Beginning in the 2027-28 season, a 35-second shot clock will be implemented into varsity basketball games. It's a topic that has been discussed for years and was actually used during the boys' LIT last season. The new rule passed by a 13-5 vote by the KHSAA Board of Control. We'll be right back.
We're about wrapping up for tonight. Looking ahead to some great weather, Kevin, and for all the folks who are coming to Louder Than Life, as I'm scanning through most of these bands whose names I have not heard of, I could maybe name you two of these on my tablet, but should be a pretty good night for them.
Well, I tell you, I knew a lot more for Bourbon and Beyond than I do the Louder for Life, but it still attracts so many folks. So if you're in town, welcome to Louisville. The weather looks good. It's going to be hot, so make sure you plan accordingly. Don't just drink the bourbon that they serve out there.
Hydrate, folks.
Take some water with you.
Sunrise starts tomorrow morning. Good night.
We'll see you tomorrow.
Get live streaming news, 24-hour weather, investigations, podcasts, and more, all for free with Wave Now.